I'm gonna have to fact check that. Hold on, give me like I might have to fact check that. I thought I saw a number there. Might be
Medicare
wrong.
expenses out around $17 billion per year to cover uninsured humans using emergency rooms in America, which includes uninsured Americans, not just undocumented migrants. Okay.
Okay.
But even if we were to say that every single dollar of that $17 billion total went to undocumented migrants, guess what? Okay. They still pay in 5 times more in taxes than they take away from emergency rooms. And what's a way that we could reduce the amount of uninsured undocumented migrants? By offering those that have not committed violent crimes a pathway to residency or citizenship, so then they're legally eligible for different forms of health insurance. Boom.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess I could agree with that too. But another reason I voted for him was his just stance to leave abortion up to the states.
Okay, why do you agree with that? I think that's a very bad position. Why do you think that's a good
Um,
position?
because I believe that abortion after like 20 to 24 weeks is murder, and I just believe that that should not be allowed in most circumstances unless it's like where
Wait, could
if
you
the baby
reiterate
will be
that?
born,
Could you
both will
please
die.
could you reiterate what you just said? I'm sorry.
So I just believe that abortion after 20 to 24 weeks is like kind of murder, and I should not. I feel like that shouldn't be allowed unless like if the baby would be born, it would kill the mother and the baby, or just like either one. So,
I want you to explain your position a little bit more in depth before I give you my response. So, I mean, you think that after the point of viability, it's murder to kill a fetus in a mother's uterus. Why does this make you support Trump's view on abortion compared to Harris's?
because he left up to the states, and some states banned it after 20 to 24 weeks.
What the implication here is that you think under Roe v. Wade, it wasn't left up to the states?
No, I wasn't. I believe it was just fully like legalized.
So after the point of viability, 20 through 24 weeks, late term abortions under Roe v. Wade are actually left up to the states. So like the position of Roe v. Wade perfectly aligns with what you think, okay? Because before that point, you don't think it's murder. You don't think that there's any good reason for governments to infringe upon a woman's right to choose, okay? That means that that's a human rights violation because in the absence of good reason, it is definitely a human rights violation to infringe upon somebody's bodily autonomy, okay? Like abortion bans before 20 weeks under you would be, all right? So that means that you think that abortion before that point should be protected on the federal level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, me too. But after that point, you don't think it should be protected on the federal level because you do think it's murder, and you either think that it should be federally banned or just left up to the states, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, Roe v. Wade, all right, the protections that Kamala Harris wanted to reinstitute and codify on the federal level merely protected every woman and girl's right to choose before 20 weeks, and after that point of viability, sent it back to the state, perfectly aligning with what you think.
Well, then, uh, well, that's a good point there. You just proved me wrong. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course, but let's even take it one step further because under like Trump's view, well, states have banned, right, elective abortions before 20 weeks. In fact, 10 states have banned it even in non-elective circumstances such as SA and grape, right? 60 grape victims per day have denied access to abortion after they got pregnant as a result of that grape in 10 of our 50 states, and 66 million American women and girls don't have that elective access in the first 20 weeks, meaning that not only does Kamala's view or like the liberal view more align with what you think. But Trump's view is like insanely morally grotesque, okay? Because under both of our views, it preludes to like 66 million human rights violations.
oh,
Yeah,
oh.
so like basically, it's like good versus evil. According to what you think, like Kamala Harris's view is actually good, and according to what you think, Donald Trump's view is like very evil.
Um, well, yeah. I guess you could say that, but I'm just kidding. I love you, Dean. Thank you so much for having me on.
Okay. I guess he was trolling, but we got to go over the important points. So okay, all right, we're gonna move on to the next guest. We got Alpha down below in that queue. He didn't really let on at any point that he was trolling. Yo, Aslan, thank you for the $5 donation on Vimeo saying that you're Ray Sunshine. No, you, Aslan. Thank you so much, guys. Show some love to Aslan, ASLYN. Go ahead and drop a maggot down below in that comment section, and we'll get you up here to have a conversation. Somebody in the chat said you knew it was strange because he conceded. Kind of real. They don't do that a lot. They don't do that a lot. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go, y'all. Keep in mind we're probably only gonna be on for like another hour and a half max. Like we're really not gonna be on for a long time tonight. What's going on, Trent? Do you support Trump?
I do.
All right, why is that? Wait,
Um,
actually, I want to ask you. I want to ask you another question.
yep.
Do you consider yourself like an American patriot?
I I do not.
No. Do you consider Trump an American patriot?
Not really.
No. Okay. Well, that's a very atypical MAGA view. But take it away. Tell us why you support the administration.
Um, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of good points of Trump, right? But there's also a pretty few bad points that he makes. I don't support abortions. Like I don't support all the stuff he has about abortions, but I support how he's trying to get all the immigrants that are illegal, not the legal ones, the ones that go through all the papers and get all their citizenships figured out. I don't support how he's not, or he's taken some of them away, but I support how he's getting all the illegal ones out, like moving all the illegal immigrants that moved out.
Yeah, I just had this conversation with the last guest. We were able to catch me having a conversation about why I don't think that why mass deportation is a bad thing.
All right.
Did you?
Well,
I mean, no, that wasn't like a yes or no. I was just wondering, did you catch that conversation?
no, I just joined.
Okay. Well, in a nutshell, first and foremost, Andrew, thank you for the $17 over on PayPal. Thank you for the love, Andrew. Everybody, please show some love to Andrew down below in that comment section, literally right now. Thank you, Andrew. And in other words, I think that we really only like support laws when they make lives better for people in this country, and when laws do the opposite, when they make life worse, we get rid of them. And mass deportation makes the life worse not only of the undocumented migrants but also of Americans. It forcefully removes millions of people from the American labor force, crippling American industries, as well as undocumented migrants pay $100 billion per year in federal, state, and local taxes, and will attribute trillions of dollars to the GDP in the next 10 years, meaning that we are severely harming the American economy. And for those reasons, I think that mass deportation doesn't make any damn sense. Just in a nutshell.
No, fair enough. That's a good point. I'm not really good with this whole debate stuff, so that was really my only good point that I kind of had.
Do you have any others?
Um, Not really. I'm not into the whole big debating thing, so I thought I'd give it a try.
Okay, man. Well, hey, man, I'll recommend you. You should listen into the live, see if there's anything that I could say that could change your mind. But I appreciate you so much for your time, Trent. And have a good rest of your day. We're gonna go ahead and get that next guest up here right
True.
now. We got Alana loading in. Hello, Alana. How old are you?
How old am I?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't think I'd have to answer that.
I guess
Okay.
I'm just taking a guess, a shot in the dark here. That doesn't mean that you're under 18, right?
Yeah.
Goodbye. Moving on to the next guest. Got to be at least 18 to be on the live. That's why I asked that question, y'all. Moving on, everyone. Just give us a minute, y'all. Give us a minute. We got Chris Williams loading up into the box. If you're one of the 5.7 thousand people watching, make sure that you're double tapping away on that phone screen and sharing that out that live. What's going on, Chris? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
I don't vote. I don't vote though.
Okay. That's good. That's good. That's good you didn't vote for Trump, even though you support him. Very nice. Doing this country a very big duty. You got a little bit of lag. I don't even know if this conversation is salvageable because you have one bar, but let's try it out. Why do you support the administration?
I think I think we need leadership, man. And I
Okay,
think
I
somebody
agree.
who's yeah, I think somebody who's worked with people. I think probably more than most politicians is have because I mean he owns multiple business. He runs multiple businesses. He's working with all kinds of different people from all different walks of life all the time. I think that's essential as far as leadership goes, especially in the White House.
Okay. So you're basically voting for whoever's a better business person. If Trump ran against Bill Gates, who would you vote for?
I would say probably that'd be a tough one. Let me think about
Why?
it for a
By
second.
by the numbers, it shouldn't be tough at all. Bill Gates is significantly more wealthy and experienced than Trump, and successful than Trump.
That's true, but like I was saying before, like not every middle class American works in the tech industry. You know what I mean?
Okay,
It's a
well, I mean,
complicated question.
not every middle class American works in like the real estate and scamming charities and bankrupting casino industry either, right?
Sure.
So I don't know. I don't
I
understand
think
that problem.
I would probably say it'd be a difficult, if I were to vote, it would be a difficult decision because
Okay,
you know,
well, look,
I'd have to
here's my
really
point.
dig.
Here's my point. Here's my point. I was
Yeah.
expecting you to automatically be like, no, because for whatever for whatever reason, conservatives hate Bill Gates. But the point is I don't think that Donald Trump's experience in business over his life makes him qualified for the presidency. Nor do I think it makes him a good president. The main reason why I do this is because, like, what we've seen with his economic policy since the beginning of his first administration is that it's been very bad for this country, and that's supposed to be where his business experience is exuberated the most. Brandon, think of the galaxy. Like, for instance, right now we went from not heading towards a recession to heading towards a recession. We went from booms in the stock markets to crashes in the stock markets. We went from working
Oh
closely with
yeah.
allies across the globe to being isolated from every other country on earth. Okay, and now his economic policy is projected by the institution of economics and taxation to literally redistribute wealth from the poor to the rich. So the way I look at it, man, is he's very terrible for the economy.
I don't think he is because he's a billionaire, and and it's not. It's I mean,
But I talked about I
if it
enumerated no,
hang on a
because I
second, hang on a
enumerated the
second.
material results
If
of
he
his
was if
economic
it was a
policy in office, and you're denying that because of his net worth. That's just simply not a like
well, what,
that's not a sound
what
counter argument.
okay, well, what is his net worth based off of?
Well, the amount of money that he inherited from his father, $142 million, as well as the amount of money he successfully scammed off of his supporters with his crypto meme coin. He actually like 10x, 20x his net worth overnight by rug pulling his supporters. But once again, this is irrelevant. It isn't at all. I mean, I know that you think it's relevant, but it's not relevant. My argument's simple. My argument is that the policy that he's instituted while serving as president of this country has severely hurt the economy. And if he wasn't elected, okay, the economy would be
Yeah.
significantly better than it is today. And then you're saying no to the facts, okay,
Well,
because he
I'm
has
having a conversation with you, man.
a 10-figure net worth. I just don't get it. He can have a 10-figure net worth and still
Well,
be bad for the
let
economy
me
as
ask you
president of
this
this
because you had
country.
hit on a point earlier about the requirements to be a U.S. president. So what are those?
What are the like? I don't know. Like according to the Constitution, got to be a U.S.
Well,
born citizen,
let's
at
let's
least
go let's
35
go
years
over
old.
what they are according to the Constitution, and then what you think they are
This isn't
personally.
relevant though. I want you to just no, no. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm not willing to entertain your tangent here because I want you to respond to what I said. You're saying that he's a good president because he's a billionaire, which must mean he's good for business, which must mean he's good for the American economy. I've outright denied the claim that he's good for the American economy, and I've been able to enumerate how he's bad for the American economy, and I want to hear your response.
Well, my response to that is what because you're telling me that he's bad for the economy, right?
Yeah, I am telling you that
So
based upon the material
I'm going
results
to
of his
so I'm
policy.
going to I'm going to assume that your definition of somebody who is the U.S. president is somebody that knows about economics and stuff like that, right?
What?
It's Here's the thing, man. It always comes down to like because I've watched a lot of your videos and I've spoken with a few of my friends who are Democrat, and it kind of comes down to like the requirements to be a president. I think they seem to lean more towards somebody who's had a political career, which I don't necessarily feel like that's important as far as running the because the U.S. government is just a business, man. It's just one big giant business,
Okay.
and that's why
Chris, I muted you. Just gonna respond to what you just said. The reason why I muted you isn't because of it's because of the sirens in the background. But anyways, so no, like like all that you need to fulfill in order to be president, according to the Constitution, is to be at least 35 and a U.S. born citizen. As well as there's other like parts of the Constitution that can rule you out, like if you've like tried to do an insurrection on the government, etc. But I don't think that leans towards politicians. I mean, I don't know what that even means, but you're still not responding to my claim, Chris. I just like I want to make it like clear. I want to make it clear like what I'm saying. to you. Okay, I mean, I want to make it clear what I want you to respond to. So, just out of like curiosity, do you know the question
Yeah,
that I'm asking you?
no, I don't quite understand what you're saying, what you're
Let me
asking
make
me,
it.
man.
Let me clarify. Okay, you
Okay,
said that he's
sure.
good for the economy because he's a billionaire. I said just because he's a billionaire doesn't mean he's good for the economy. I was able to dispute that claim, and by laying out the real material outcomes of his economic policy in office and how they've been shit
I
for the American
disagree,
economy.
but yeah, go on.
Well, okay. Well, let's talk about that disagreement. Why do you disagree?
Well, I mean, can you tell me what it's like to run all those businesses and stuff like that?
Once again, his businesses have nothing to do with the claim that you're disagreeing with. The claim that you're
I
disagreeing with
mean,
is
we're
that his economic policy has been
okay.
bad for the American economy.
So
What is it,
going forward, can we
Chris?
agree that if
Chris,
somebody's a
Chris,
billionaire,
what the fuck
they
is
don't
going
know how
on?
to run business or
What
they
the,
don't?
Chris? Okay, listen to me. My claim is that Donald Trump is bad for the American economy, and my evidence for this claim is the economic policy he has passed and is passing has been bad for the economy. Specifically, in this term, is blanket tariffs, okay, which have sent
Sure.
America from a projected 4% rate of growth in our GDP in the first financial quarter of this year to officially
Hmm.
barreling towards a recession already one quarter in of negative GDP growth, with a unanimous consensus existing amongst major financial institutions such as the Atlanta Fed, other branches of the Federal Reserve, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and even the own words of Mr. Moneyman, Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Okay?
Yeah.
As well as we have other institutions like the Institute on Economics and Taxation, which have demonstrated its economic policy reduces the purchasing power for 97% of Americans that make under $395,000 per year. So I want to hear you dispute this and tell me why I'm wrong, but just pulling the he's a billionaire card doesn't
I
do anything to dispute my claims and prove them wrong, because we're
I
talking about
yeah, and
the
I
real
understand
world
what you're saying
outcomes of
there.
his economic policy. Okay, this has nothing to
Yeah.
do with his business experience. This has nothing to do with his net worth. This is all to do with the policies implemented and how it's hurt this country.
I'll give you a gentleman's response. I don't agree nor do I disagree because I haven't looked at the numbers. And I don't think I will, just because I mean, this isn't really the thing that I do normally. You know what I mean? But I still think it's important to have a conversation about it because I don't know if I'm going to learn something, and I'm always open to truth and knowledge,
I
you
understand that
know.
you're saying that you haven't
So
personally
I
looked
can't,
into the numbers, but I want to make it clear I gave you the numbers.
and I understand that, but it's one of those things, man, where it's like, I have to do my own research. If I'm
But then you
objectively wrong,
clarified But you
if I'm
clarified by saying that
objectively
you're
wrong,
not going
I'm
to do
okay with
your
that.
you clarified by saying that you're not going to do your own research, right?
It's 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 not that important to me, but yeah, you are correct about that.
So you want to remain willfully ignorant.
I want to worry about my own life, man.
Does your
If it,
life
if I
concern the
was
economic state of this country?
if I was
Does
in
your life concern the economic state of this country?
I don't believe it does that much, no.
All right, see
And
ya,
I
Chris. Hello, Stormy. Well, go worry about your own life somewhere else. Hello, Stormy. Do you support Trump?
No, I just have a quick question. I just wanted to know where your resources are because I want to become more like you and, like, I guess, know my stuff, if that makes sense.
Well, sure. I do typically try to give resources with each claim I make, such as in that last conversation, I cited a couple different institutions there. But I'd recommend either just like listening to me as like these claims come up again and I could be able to recite them, or joining my Discord and we all share resources together in there. But as well as if you go to @rockin.librarian on TikTok, he has a shit ton of resources in his bibliography, and that's probably a good place to start. I appreciate you for coming up. What is going on, Patriot? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Okay, could you come a little bit closer to your mic, man?
I said yes, I do.
Okay, I'm sorry. That last guest, it's just like irking my soul. That was really annoying. Okay, well, why? Wait, actually, do you consider yourself a patriot?
Of course, I'm a vet.
Okay, so because when you went to like fight for the military, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution, right?
Of course.
So as a patriot who's taken an oath to uphold the Constitution, is now a veteran, how do you feel about Donald J. Trump saying that he doesn't know if he has to uphold the Constitution?
Where's your source on that?
Yeah, an ABC interview either earlier today or yesterday. It's pretty big and current news.
I haven't seen that and I haven't heard about it, but I'll
You
have
just
to check
did.
it out before I answer that.
Okay. Well, if you check it out and it's true, what's your answer?
Well, obviously, I'm not going to be too happy about that.
Okay. Well, I mean, so does this mean that you'd rescind your support because he doesn't know if he has to uphold the Constitution? He's ignoring Supreme Court orders, violating the Constitution. He called for the specific eradication of the Constitution in December of 22. In 2020, he tried to accuse the outcome of the results of the election and called Mike Pence a traitor because Mike Pence said that he places the Constitution above Trump and Trump wanted him to violate it. You know, it seems like he really has a track record of wanting to consolidate power to himself, and he hates things that get in his way. And one thing that's been getting in his way for a while now is that pesky little Constitution. And now he's gotten to the point where he just straight up says he doesn't know if he really cares.
Well, what's your whole take on the whole immigration situation? I mean, he's got it down to 97% in
Andrew, they put
control.
$5 on PayPal. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we had, clearly we have an invasion. We had an invasion. I mean, I live in a sanctuary state, and I did see a lot of that going on. There was a lot of people I knew personally, who were single parents, and they were struggling. They were applying for food stamps, and they were having a hard time getting approved, while
Stranger than you.
other people were easily getting paid money. I mean, boatloads of money.
Well, you're pivoting. So what you're doing right now is you're pivoting. So I brought up the fact that Donald Trump is the worst president we've ever had insofar as respecting the Constitution, and then you pivoted to an invasion of immigrants.
Okay, well, I'll go back to that. I don't think Donald Trump is the worst president. I think he's actually a great president, and I think Biden was one of the worst. But I'm not going to 100% throw it all on Biden because
Give
Biden
me.
wasn't really running the show. It was
I
really,
gave you like 5 explicit circumstances of Donald Trump refusing to care about the Constitution. Name one unconstitutional thing that Biden did.
well, what about the 13 soldiers when he did the botched Afghan withdrawal? I mean,
Okay.
he
Well,
didn't
we
even
could
say
talk
anything
about
to
the
their family
Afghanistan withdrawal,
members.
but what was unconstitutional? How did that violate or pose a threat to the Constitution?
Well, look what he did. I mean, look how reckless he was. He didn't even acknowledge the family. He didn't
So,
say
so I just
anything.
want to clarify that him not acknowledging the families poses a threat to the Constitution. What are you talking about?
That's not what I said. Is this what you do? You try to put words in people's mouth?
Well,
Because
that's the question I asked.
I
That's the
did watch
question I asked. I
I
told
watched you get
you
your ass
that
kicked with Charlie Kirk. You're a little unfucked tour. I saw the videos of that. That was a funny one.
the Unfuck America tour was a failure for about around a billion reasons, but
Well,
not
because
because I
you
failed
tried
at
to
trying to
go
debate
near
Charlie
Charlie
Kirk.
Kirk, and he had the whole area reserved, and that's why you ended up in a different spot. That was pretty funny though to see that.
I kind of kicked his ass. I'm not gonna lie, man. I embarrassed Charlie Kirk. Let me tell you. Let me tell you because
I
now we
saw the
complete.
video. I don't really
Are you
think
gonna let
so.
me speak?
Go ahead. I mean, you've been cutting me off, but go for it.
So the most viewed video I've ever released on any of my social media accounts is by far, by like a margin of like 40 million views. The video of Charlie Kirk running away from me at Texas A&M. And you know what? That is one of the most effective, if not the most effective, pieces of liberal propaganda I've ever posted. And here's why. Okay, here's why. The amount of Trump supporters that watched that video and said, damn, you're right. Charlie Kirk is scared of this liberal guy named Dean. Why is Charlie Kirk not willing to talk to Dean? Charlie Kirk should talk to Dean. The amount, the tens of thousands of Republicans that I saw in my comment section, in my DMs, even like there in person, was astounding. That is by far one of the best pieces of media I've ever released to get people on the right to question. So I don't think that was a failure at all.
Dean, you're a funny guy. So let me add into that. So the reason why he didn't duck you, I actually watched it. He actually even spoke about it. So he said that he wasn't going to give you, um, you know, basically the 5 minutes of fame because he goes out there, he rents it out, that space, and college kids reserve their spots to go up there and talk. So he didn't want you to just come in bombard. I mean, I saw the whole thing. I mean, I looked at it. The thing is, the way you talk really fast and then you quickly interrupt. I've seen you how you try to debate. I mean, it's funny, but I see it's like you do a tactic, and to try to pass off that like, oh, I'm winning this debate. I've seen how you do it. I've watched your videos.
Okay. Well, to respond to your first point about you saying that he wasn't running away, he just wanted to talk to students from that college. Well, I don't know if you really do watch my videos, because if you did watch my video about Charlie Kirk, I included a person at the mic that explicitly said he does not go to college.
You
Now,
talking about Charlie Kirk? I know he doesn't go to college.
no, I'm talking about another individual around my age that was able to speak to Charlie Kirk on that day at Texas A&M that I caught on camera, that straight up said on the mic he doesn't go to college. So what is this all? What's this excuse about him only debating students from the college? Because that's not true.
No, he said he just didn't want to give you, like I said, the
Yeah. Reframe the argument. Give me more because I think that you don't know
Well,
what you're
because
saying.
all you tried to do was you just try to bombard and jump in. I mean, like I said, you and
Oh,
Dean,
okay. I'll dispute this now.
you and whatever the other guy was, you had your little unfucked tour, and it obviously wasn't successful. Frankly, like I said, I don't know why you're still making these type of videos. I mean, Trump won. Kamala, let's be honest, Kamala was not a better person.
You're doing the fallback tactic. Do you
I'm,
want to know?
I'm not doing any fallback tactic.
Yeah,
I'm
you are.
trying
Do
to.
you
I'm
want to
trying
know
to
what? Do you want to
understand.
know what the
We're
fallback
past
tactic
100
is?
days into Trump's election, and you're still making videos trying to
Patriot.
talk bad about Trump.
Because we're still in the days of his presidency. Now, I'd like to describe to you what the fallback tactic is. So, the fallback tactic is when you make a point that's just utterly false. Okay, I demonstrate it to be false. So then you just kind of ignore it, and then you fall back to some greater theme that you got going on in your brain. Okay, the most recent instance of this is you saying that Charlie Kirk wasn't running away from me, but he was just rather specifically talking to students from the school. Okay, I proved that claim false, okay, because there was somebody on that mic at Texas A&M talking to Charlie Kirk that explicitly said he didn't go to school. You don't address or respond to that, so then you just fall back to saying, well, Trump won the election.
Where was that?
And then
Where was that video?
in the video I made about
So I
Charlie
can
Kirk.
look it up.
In the video I made about Charlie Kirk. It's on my TikTok, it's on my Twitter, it's on my Instagram, it's everywhere. Now, and so far as to the second point of view saying that, well, you've seen how I debate, I just bombard and I interrupt and all this stuff. That's not true, and Charlie Kirk acknowledges that's not true. In fact, Charlie Kirk only had good things to say about the way that I debate on the George Jankos podcast. He said that I'm an incredibly intelligent guy that he'd love to speak to again. And even during my 3-minute sit down with him on Jubilee, I didn't interrupt him once. And he ended up telling me I gave him one of the best arguments he's ever heard. So Charlie Kirk does not agree with your claim that I'm a bad faith debater that interrupts and bombards.
Okay, well, I mean, I watch your videos. I know the other one you're talking about. I seen that one. I mean, like I said, you talk really fast, you interrupt. I get it. I mean, it's a
No, I
debate.
don't.
You only have so much time. I understand. But yeah,
I'm
what
sorry.
would you like?
Sorry,
What
that's
would
just
you
simply
like
not
to
true.
talk about? What else would you like to talk about? Because obviously, you and me are gonna have different opinions on the whole Charlie Kirk thing.
Well, I just want you to acknowledge that you weren't telling the truth. You told me that Charlie Kirk wasn't running away from me, and like your justification for that claim was that he was only at Texas A&M to talk to students, and I'm a bad faith debater that would have just interrupted him, and he didn't want to deal with that. I've refuted both of those claims with certainty. I refuted the first claim by pointing out that I literally had somebody in my video that told Charlie Kirk he didn't go to school, and he was able to get on the mic. So now the claim that he's only talking to students is definitely not true. And then the second claim about me talking fast, bombarding, and interrupting, Charlie Kirk has said I'm a good faith debater that's incredibly intelligent, and he even told me that I gave him the best position he's ever heard on abortion. So, I mean, that claim's now false too, or at least to Charlie Kirk, and that's what matters, right?
Well, I mean, maybe you would have gave him a debate, but he made a video posting this after I saw this. I'd say about a week ago, and I watched it, and it was him talking about you specifically. And I don't know who your other friend is, but he mentioned a video about both of you, and he said he wasn't going to give you the audience the space. He said he knew what you were trying to do. This isn't my opinion. I'm going off of his video that he posted about you.
So what I was trying to do was to have a transparent conversation with one of the largest political operatives on the right, and they didn't want to have it with me.
Well, I mean, that's what he said. He said it was out of respect to the students who were there who wanted to speak with him and ask him questions. I mean,
He let other people that weren't students speak to him on the mic, so he was lying.
He probably did, but I mean, there was obviously students as well.
Can you acknowledge that that means that Charlie Kirk was lying because he didn't just talk to students?
Okay, so we'll say not all of them were students.
He did speak to non-students. The only non-student he didn't speak to was me.
Right. Okay. And like I said, I mean, he did it for reasons. He said he didn't want to give you, like I said, an audience. That's all. That was his.
But ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. Why wouldn't he want to give somebody like me an audience? Okay, I think the reason why is because he knows, ultimately speaking, if we were to have a dialogue with me about politics, he would end up looking really bad. And Charlie Kirk tries to protect this image of being of a near God status, and he wants to preserve that because if he loses that image and that image is not preserved, well, then he won't encapsulate young minds on the right the way he does today. And I mean, that's the reason why I wanted to talk to him, was to show that he is fathomable, to show that he is human, to show that he is not as well read as he's made out to be, to show he's not as intelligent as he's made to be. And ultimately speaking, I mean, the positions that people hold to on the right are really devoid of reason, fact, and logic, and are ultimately speaking really incoherent. Okay, and I feel like that's the reason he didn't want to give me an audience, because
Well,
I
I
could have
mean,
proved that very clearly.
like I said, I'm not saying you wouldn't debate him, but I'm thinking maybe because you had the whole unfuck tour, whatever you call it, but you had that tour going on, so he didn't want to give you the audience for that. From what
He
his
spoke to other people on the tour.
He did, but like I said, that's what he said on the video. He didn't want to give you the audience. I mean, go look it up. Go back, go on his page and go read his video. It's like a
Well,
week ago.
if you were listening to what I just said, I believe that he didn't want to give me the audience, and I told you why.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, it's like I said, it is what it is. But that's what he told me. That's what I saw in this video. I looked at, and I said,
I
okay.
know, and I told you why he didn't want to give me the audience.
Well, then maybe you should challenge him.
Now you're on my side. Now you support me trying to do to him
Well, I
what I
didn't say
tried to do in
that.
Texas.
I think you two need to have a debate and get it once and for all, and see who's the better one.
That's why I was in
I
Texas.
mean, I'm not saying you suck. I mean, you can hold it. You can hold your ground when I see you debate. Do I agree with everything you say? No. I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, you try to personally attack Trump. Obviously, I mean,
I do.
that's just how I look at it. But yeah, I didn't say you can't debate.
Okay. Well, do you have any? This is getting pretty repetitive. Do you want to tell us why you support the Trump admin, or kind of respond to a couple of the claims that I
Well,
made?
I
I think we're
support Trump because the last 4 years was bad that we lived in. I'm not sure exactly, aside from TikTok, I don't know what you do if you have businesses or anything. I had a trucking company back during the COVID times, and unfortunately, my trucking company didn't survive in the COVID time, so I had to take a hit. But, I couldn't even open up another trucking company. And that goes to another thing when you talk about how Trump, oh, he's had all these businesses that went, bankrupt. But that's what you do when a business is not profiting, and then you can just start a new company all over again with a clean slate.
so
That's
I'm
and that's a
confused.
lot of
So
business do that.
just to kind of sum up, I don't want to derail here. I feel like you're kind of derailing. You're telling us that you support Trump because the Biden-Harris administration was bad. I disagree.
Yeah.
Name one bad domestic policy they passed.
The whole Green New Deal, I don't believe nothing. We didn't benefit from that. There was a lot of the
Patriot. So what you've done is you've been very susceptible to propaganda, and you've accepted false claims as truth. There was never a Green New Deal passed under the Biden-Harris administration. So that was, just simply something you likely saw on the internet or heard on the TV that you believed without evidence, and then you used this unjustified sense of conviction and misinformation to support Trump. Do you see why I'm live? Because it's important for this to be called out, and maybe this is where you have a moment of introspection and you think of how you are kind of aiding and abetting in the destruction of this country by voting somebody who shouldn't be in office based on misinformation of Democrats.
Well, Biden, he wasn't the originator who started the whole Green New Deal, but he was trying to push it. There was a lot of things he was trying to push that I didn't agree with. I mean, the cost, there was a lot of government spending.
Well, see, now
Free
this is
spending.
now you've just simply shifted the goalpost
I'm
because
not shifting, man. I'm trying to get
you
to
are.
my point, but
Because
you keep
I've
cutting
asked
me
you to.
off and you're not letting me finish. So now you're making it look like I'm pivoting, which I'm not.
Well, the question was if you can name a bad policy they passed, and now you're saying that you can name a bad policy that you think they were trying to get passed, even though you acknowledge never did get passed. So that is a
Well, I
shift to the
mean,
goalpost because you're not naming a policy they passed that was bad.
okay, I mean, DEI, I didn't agree with that.
What
It was,
policy was that? What was the name of the
It
policy,
was not
sir?
a policy. It
So then
was
name the damn
the whole
policy,
trying to
because the
promote
question
the
I'm asking you
DEI.
is to name a policy.
I mean, Jesus, there's so many. I mean, I mean, to go in specific, I just didn't like what they did. I didn't
Like,
agree with it.
well, see, when I make the claim that I don't like what Trump's doing, I'm specific. I hated his Liberation Day tariffs, where he tariffed every other country on the face of this planet. And the reason I didn't like that policy, that very specific policy that I'm able to name, is because it's sending this country into a recession and helping redistribute wealth from the poor to the rich. So do we see how when you make a claim about Biden, how bad his policy was, you're unable to give me anything more specific than that. But when I make the identical claim about Trump, I'm able to be very specific. Why is that?
So, what's the definition of a recession?
2 financial quarters with negative GDP
Two
growth.
failed, right? Two failed consecutive quarters. Okay. How many? How many have we failed?
Right now, 1. That's why I said we're heading towards a recession, not in a recession.
Okay. Are we still though finishing Biden's fourth quarter?
So the quarter, the first quarter of this year, only ended in negative GDP growth because of Trump.
Okay. What about? Like I said, what about all the spending that happened that's being uncovered right now? Do you not agree with that? Do you find that to be okay?
So I actually like the idea of Doge being very critical about where the government is spending the money they forcefully take from us.
I agree.
But I think that they're not using Doge as a mean to reduce wasteful government expenditure. They're using it to attack the liberal enemy. That's why I believe that Doge should be headed with bipartisan representation or nonpartisan representation. But overall, it is a failure because the Trump administration with Doge is still more costly for the American people than Kamala Harris's administration would have been without Doge.
Well, I mean, I don't think specifically he's trying to target Democrat members, but unfortunately, they have a lot to do with it. But there was dirty Republican members as well. I mean, I'm not going to deny that there was a lot of dirty of them. Mitch McConnell, I never liked him. He was always too.
Can you respond to what I just said?
Say that again.
Yeah, that Donald Trump is more costly for the American people and will put this country into more debt with greater deficits year by year than Kamala Harris would have. My first point of reason is that during his first administration, he spent twice as much as the Biden-Harris administration did. And going into his second term, the CBO has estimated him to be 4 to 5 times more expensive than Harris's administration would have been. So he's much more dangerous for the ever-exploding debt or annual deficit.
Okay, what did he spend money on? Because I've heard this on live, and they don't even come close to backing this up.
So the largest thing he spent money on in his first administration, ignoring COVID, because we did have the $2.4 trillion stimulus bill, was his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which cost $1.9 trillion.
Okay, but what about now? Those two you're saying is what caused he spent way more than Biden and
No,
Kamala.
of course, there's other enumerated spending for if you want to account for every single dollar of the $8.4 trillion total spent in his first 4 years. Go to Google, type in Trump v. Biden national debt and CRBF, and then you'll find a source from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, and which itemizes every dollar spent.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that when I was on someone's live. Someone pulled that up, and it actually showed that Biden spent a lot more, which I can agree on that because
That's not true.
how much money did Biden pump into the government?
Patriot, that what you just said is very false. I like fact checkably false. Everyone go to Google, type in Trump v. Biden debt, CRBF, go to the link from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Only spent 4.6, so that was not true.
There's no way they spent only 4.6. There's no way.
Yeah, that's how much money did they spend then?
They spent a lot more than
Like
that.
I
remember.
I'm gonna need you to be specific, because when you just say, "Oh, they spent a lot more than what the facts say," I feel like you're just operating off of vibes and feelings. Okay.
No,
this is a facts over feelings.
This is what I remember. If I don't quote me 100%, but I'm going back to a live when I heard this conversation. But Trump spent around 7.4 trillion, and Biden spent about 8.9. A lot more. His numbers were much higher.
According to who?
So, like I said, when I was on a live previously, this particular topic came up, and someone pulled out the charts, and we saw it and saw that Biden spent more money.
Okay, so in other words, you don't have evidence.
Well, I don't have evidence in front of me. I mean, I can't. I don't have a computer in
Okay.
front of me.
So you don't have evidence, but I do have evidence. Once again, my source is the CRBF.
So show us on the screen right now, then.
Well, I can't show you on the screen, but
Okay.
I could
So then you
vocally
don't
tell
have
you.
evidence as well, then, right?
No, I do. Once again, it is the CRBF, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. To look at it on your screen, you go to Google and you type in Trump v. Biden, national debt CRBF, and you can look at it on your screen.
So how much are you going to guarantee that if I go on there and you're telling me that I'm going to see Trump spent a lot more? Because like I said, this is already. I've already seen
I
this
could
in live.
guarantee that with certainty.
Okay, because I've seen this on a live. Someone pulled out the chart, which I already didn't believe that. Anyways, I already knew Biden spent a lot more because I was there the last 4 years, like all of us were, and we saw the continuous spending.
Okay,
And
what did he spend money on? What did he spend money on? Tell me what he spent money on.
oh my God, I mean, $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq.
Okay,
I mean,
pennies.
stupid stuff.
Pennies. Okay,
No,
now
there was
good
there was
job.
a lot
You
of
were
stuff.
able. You were able to
Transgender
just tell
studies
us.
in India.
You're so far you're able to delineate specifically $20 million. Okay, you have like
I
what,
just gave
another
you
nine
I just gave
trillion
you
to go.
one. There was a lot of money.
I wonder what $20 million as a percentage of 9 trillion is.
See, you're funny. You like to take only one thing I say. Like I mentioned, I said this. I only gave you an example. There was a lot of useless spending.
So did you
What
know
about
that
the
is
politician?
zero? Wait, did you know? So that is 0.0002% of $9 trillion.
Do I know what? What is that? What did you say?
I asked you to account for like the $9 trillion that you think Biden spent, and then you said $20 million to Iraq. So that's 0.0002% of the 9 trillion. So
Well, I'm giving
can you
you
name the
I'm
remainder of the
giving you an example.
99.9998%?
So I'm giving you an example of
But
wasteful
I want
spending.
bigger examples. I want the biggest example. What was the biggest
Like I
draw of
said,
spending under the
if I had a
Biden-Harris
computer in
administration?
front of me, I would
Account for
have
the
done
9
this.
trill.
If I had a computer in front of me, I would have pulled up all this before I got on here. But like I said, there was a lot more. I mean, just what Doge uncovered, useless spending.
Okay, so then give me a big example, because I was able to name $2 trillion under Trump with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, 2.4 with a COVID stimulus. Give me something big under
So
Biden.
when you say the tax cuts, and you guys always kept saying that, oh, it was just for his billionaire buddies. Now, you're saying we didn't benefit off the tax cuts?
When did you hear me say that? Out of curiosity, like why are you putting words in my mouth?
I'm doing what you do. I know, doesn't it suck, right? It's annoying.
When have I put words in your mouth?
You've been doing this the whole time.
So then give me a
You
specific
saw me
example.
just when I mentioned a little part of something, you quickly cut me right off.
Give me an
But like I
example of me.
said, nine.
No,
For
no,
me
not
to
like
come up with
not
9
like
trillion of
not like you said. Give me a very specific example of me putting words in your mouth, because I don't think I have. So
so
you're not doing what I do.
no, I mentioned the 20 million for the Sesame Street in Iraq, and you right away stopped. You're like, see, oh, that's only 0.000. I'm like, okay, I got you. But like I said, there's a lot more. I don't have a
But
computer. I don't have it in front
I
of
want
me.
you to so I just want to clarify that you're saying that the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, the CRFB, is wrong, and that Biden spent a lot more than they report, but you don't know how much he spent, and you don't know what he spent it on.
So
Why am I supposed to deem your claim as reliable in any sense whatsoever?
okay, well, hold on a second. So I live in a sanctuary state, right? So every year the government was funding them. I think it was $245 billion for the illegals. That was to give them food, shelter, and
What?
free and welfare and food stamps. And here's another one that I found out just recently.
What the
We're
fuck?
getting free Uber rides paid for
What
by the
the
government.
hell?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my
Dude,
reaction to it.
what if I told you that every single Republican in Congress disagrees with you? Every Republican, not Democrat, Republican in Congress disagrees with you.
I would highly doubt that.
Okay. Well, I want you to go ahead and go on Google, type in congress.gov, House Republicans, how much are we spending on illegal immigrants? And
Well,
what you'll find
now we're not
is the
spending
title
anything
of a report from the House Republicans in the fiscal year of 2024, which says our government spent $156 billion on the federal. They spent over $100 billion on top of what the House Republicans are saying in one state alone. This is complete bullshit.
Look up what they were spending between 2021 and 2023.
They did a report every single year. I'm telling you that what you're saying is completely bullshit. It
It's
is
not
fake,
bullshit.
fake. Give me a source.
It's not bullshit at all.
I literally just gave you a source from every Republican in Congress proving you.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do you one better. Okay, now aside from all the bullshit documents that put out fake reports,
What?
so
These
I
are
live in a.
why are you calling it fake? These are your guys.
Hold on.
I source Republicans.
Let me explain. So,
before you explain, I just want to point out how ridiculous it is for you to call it fake when your source is just coming from Republicans.
I'm gonna give you a reason. Now, listen.
This is like the equivalent of me sourcing Fox News for my point.
No, so there's people I know who work in hotels, okay, who basically, told me many stories of this. This was going on like when I had my trucking company. Unfortunately, I didn't survive the end of COVID, but they were telling me that literally illegals were coming in with these credit cards and they were able to charge however long they needed. And these credit cards were given by the government. I think it was like 10,000. They were put in 5 to 10,000 a month, 5,000 on food stamps. And this is what I was told. And like I said,
but like I'm saying, you're not telling the truth, and you're actually, quite frankly, telling a lie.
of course you're going to say I'm not telling the truth because I'm opposing what you're saying. Of course you're going to say that.
My evidence that you're wrong is what every single Republican in Congress has reported.
So
and on top of that, do you know what? No. The House Republicans. You're going to listen to me now. What federal entity manages food stamps?
SNAP.
What federal entity manages food stamps and SNAP?
Department of Transitional Assistance.
No, USDA. Okay. Did you know if you go on USDA.gov, right, they will actually tell you on their website that food stamps and SNAP are only available to citizens or lawful residents and are not available to unlawful residents and non-citizens?
What they say. That's what they say, but were they actually doing it? No. Are you going to play a blind eye and say that wasn't happening?
Okay, but like prove. Here's I guess where I'm at. So the federal entity that manages the delegation of funding for SNAP and food stamps is saying that they're not doing it. The House Republicans are saying that they're not doing it. What's your source at saying that they are doing it? Kind of sounds like you're talking out of your ass. One moment. I'm gonna go ahead and finish speaking now. You know what this debate reminds me of? Let me tell you. Have you ever watched a debate between a flat earther and a globe earther before? I'm being serious. Have you ever watched a flat earth debate?
Have I watched a flat earth debate? Yeah, of course I've watched flat earth. Do I believe in it? No.
You sound like flat earthers do in flat earth debates.
Oh, I mean, I'd say the same thing about you.
That's not true, because I've been able to indicate to you evidence and sources would have an incredibly staunchly conservative-leaning bias. You're the one not bringing the facts. You're the one.
Asked you what Republicans were posted that. You couldn't give me any names.
The most specific names I could give you is just Republicans in the House, because it was posted by the Committee of House Republicans.
Okay, so if I wanted to look that up, how would I find that? When you're saying just Republicans,
House Republicans, quote unquote, House Republicans, Congress.gov, quote unquote, how much do we spend on illegal immigrants? That's the title of it.
Okay, what year are you talking about?
I think that they've done one every year for the last 4. I think this one's coming from 2022.
All right, I'll take a look at it, but I'll guarantee, like I said, I've already been on a live and had this conversation, and the numbers are very high. We spent a lot of money because we were trying to turn them into Democratic voters.
Okay, so it was actually called the quote unquote the cost of illegal immigration to taxpayers. The House Republicans website. So this is by the Director of Research, Stephen Carmatoa, and this is for Immigration Integrity, Security, and Enforcement Subcommittee of the House Judiciary Committee. And this is specifically by the House Republicans. And I'd actually like to make it clear that this report is not true. And they report a lot of expenditure on undocumented migrants, that are not going to undocumented migrants, but are rather going to the legal citizen children of undocumented migrants. So they're overinflating the amount of money that our government has added or spent on undocumented migrants by around $130 billion. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, this fake overinflated figure that the House Republicans have deemed to be spent on undocumented migrants is still half as low. It's still a fraction of the amount that you said is spent on undocumented migrants in one state in one fiscal year. Okay, so that makes me think that what you're saying is just completely outrageous. And then I also find it quite hilarious that I have the burden of proof to prove you wrong compared to you possessing the burden of proof to prove yourself right. Because at this point, you're just speaking words into existence and you're expecting me to treat them as fact if I can't prove them wrong. Shit, I should start doing that too.
Well, you only cited me one site for that. I mean, I asked you a couple.
How many sites did you cite me? How many evidence? How many sources of evidence? How many sources of evidence did you give me that it was correct?
How many sources of evidence? Like I said, if
Zero.
I don't have a computer,
Zero,
I don't
right?
have a computer in
Zero.
front of me, but
Zero. So you've given me zero citations. So how the fuck are you gonna shit on me for?
no, I haven't
one
given
that
you
you're wrong?
zero citations. Everything I've been
Yes, you
talking
have.
about is legitimate stuff.
Okay,
I
what's
mean,
the citation for your claim that in one state we spent $250 billion on undocumented migrants? Dominic, thank you for the Lily of the Leon. What's your citation?
Well, Massachusetts, we've spent a lot. I mean,
Massachusetts is the name of a state, not a citation. Dominic, thank you so much for the
no.
Lily of the
I'm talking
Leon.
about-
Thank you so much for the
the
love,
state of
Dominic.
Massachusetts has spent over $245 billion just in supporting illegal migrants.
Yeah, so what's the
Well,
citation that demonstrates that this claim is true?
Well, I mean, I can go up on the Boston.gov website and take a look. It'll be right there displayed. I mean, it's all public information.
Okay, where on the boston.gov website can I find this? I'm actually on boston.gov right now. Where do I go from here?
Okay, show me on your screen first.
I can't.
Okay, so how am I supposed to believe you?
Why would I lie about not actually being on their website?
Well, because you're calling me out for not showing you my source, and then I'm asking you, and then you're like, "Oh, well, I can't." But go on there and just look.
I can't like broadcast my computer screen to my phone.
Okay, well, I don't know the specific title of the article, but just look up the cost of taxpayers pay for the illegal migrants in Boston, in Massachusetts.
Okay.
It's
Nothing
up
pops
there,
up.
though.
Where is it at? Nothing's on the boston.gov website. You sound real quiet now.
No, I'm not quite at all. Like I said, I mean, if I don't have a computer in
Thank you so
front
much
of
for
me,
the galaxy.
if I did, I would have been able to look it up for you, and I would have gave you the source.
Are you giving me a hypothetical version of reality where you cited your claim? That's one of the that's actually like one of the craziest things I've heard. Yeah, I understand on the surface level it doesn't really
You're
sound
saying
like
that
much,
we didn't.
but
we
you're
didn't supply
literally
any
saying so because I don't have a computer and I'm not giving you a cite to my claim. I'm not doing anything wrong.
Well, what do you want me to do? You want me to get off TikTok and go look? I mean,
Well, I'd like you to hypothetically get an
then I'd be off
education.
this live.
I'd like to hypothetically have you get an education. Is there maybe other things that actually? Can I give you an argument?
Go for it.
Okay. Would you ever support a president that literally wants to abolish the Constitution? Literally wants to abolish the Constitution.
Let me guess. You're talking about Trump, right?
We'll get there. Answer the question first.
Who wants to abolish the Constitution?
Just like literally wants to eradicate articles in the Constitution. Very
Oh, I
literally.
mean, I'd like a president who's honest and who's not corrupt, like the last one we had.
Okay, so your answers, I'm not going to answer you, but let's talk about Biden.
I just
Stop.
said no.
Thank you so much for the train. Okay. Stop talking. So Dean asked the question, would you ever support a president that literally wants to abolish articles in the Constitution? And you said no, right?
Yep, I know. You're gonna Man, you're gonna talk about how
I just want to clarify. I just want to
heard
clarify. The answer to the question there was no, right? The answer to the question there was no. N-O, right?
I've heard this. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so in December of 2022, Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social and on Twitter. He said, "So with the revelation of massive and widespread fraud and deception, and working closely with big tech companies, the DNC and the Democratic Party, do you throw out the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner, or do you have a new election? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the quote unquote termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution." Boom.
Okay, so can I add something to that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so before I just jump to that, how come this election we had, this past one, where was the 15 million extra voters who voted for Biden? How come they didn't show up to vote for Kamala?
Okay, so you're actually not responding to what I said.
Oh, look at that. You quickly cut me off on that one.
I didn't cut you off at all. You stopped naturally talking. So the answer to the question is they either voted for Trump or they didn't vote at all. So Donald Trump also got millions of less votes than he did in 2020 because 2020 was the biggest turnout that we've ever had. But once again, the reason why I didn't immediately respond to your question was because it's not relevant. I asked you if you've ever supported a president that wants to literally abolish the Constitution. You said no. And then I read off a statement where Trump says he literally wants to abolish the Constitution. And then your answer is no longer no. I feel like the demonstration now you're cutting me off. I didn't cut you off, sir.
You've been cutting me off. I didn't even get to finish. There was a reason why I said that.
The fuck? The fuck? Are you joking? Wait.
Say that. Don't do that. That's really.
Wait. I sound like. What do you mean? I sound like a girl?
When you say that, the way you just said that, what the fuck? That was really. Just don't do that. That was like really girly.
I bet every dollar in my bank account you've never talked to a woman in your life. How the hell would you know that sounds like what a woman would
I
say?
guarantee you,
Sorry.
I've touched more pussy than you'll ever touch in your life.
Sorry. Oh my God. Ew. I'm so sorry that everybody had to hear this guy say that.
I can tell you're still a virgin just the fact that you said ew.
Okay, another middle-aged Republican man on the internet that wants to talk about my sex life.
So do you want to get
Please
back
get
to
it.
topic?
No.
Because I can easily destroy you on that topic.
I want you to explain to the 7,000 people watching why you're just another middle-aged conservative man on the internet that wants to talk about my 20-year-old sex life.
I don't want to talk about your sex life. I told you don't make that noise. That sounded really girly, and you just went and turned it into some kind of stupid sex thing.
What does that even mean, girly? What? I said the fuck after you said that.
Times it can come off girly.
Okay, so you're just saying because when I get just absolutely blown away by a claim and my voice goes a higher pitch than it currently is now, that means I sound like a woman?
Yeah, it sounded funny. I wasn't looking at my phone when you said that. I literally thought for a second I was talking to a girl.
So I'm trying to find ways to like respond to this, but you're just literally so incoherent.
Yeah, so I'd like to finish where I was going with that because.
No, I want to finish what I'm saying. Like, here I am sitting like here trying to like find a way to like refute like this guy for like, you know, using a misogynistic comment of being like, you sound like a woman. Okay. So I'm like listening to what he's saying and I'm trying to find a way to like respond to it. But what he's saying is just so incoherent and unintelligible that I just don't even know what to say. Man, like okay, my voice went higher for a second, and what? But curious. Thank you for the galaxy. Go ahead.
Oh, now you're muting me now? Come on.
Yeah, I muted you because you interrupted me. I bet that Republican men are pretty bad with respecting boundaries.
Okay, so I'd like to finish what I was trying to say about the election before you jumped into this whole subject.
I also want to point out, so I actually didn't interrupt you. You asked me where the 15 million votes went that Biden got in 2020
you
2024, and then you literally stopped
hold on,
talking.
Dean. You said something. Let me say something back to that, okay? So just quickly, I won't be long.
Okay, but I want you to understand.
I know you love to talk. You love to hear yourself talk.
Sure. You
Don't
can
worry.
respond.
I'm gonna give it to you.
You can respond to that, but I'd like to make it incredibly clear that this is all a tangent. Because my question to you was, would you ever support a president that wanted to like literally abolish the Constitution? You say no. Then I give you a quote from Donald Trump where he's literally calling for the abolition of the Constitution. And the next thing we know, we're talking about the election. So you pivoted.
I didn't pivot.
Yes, you did. Once
No,
I'll
said,
re-describe the pivot. I will re-describe the pivot. My question was, would you ever support a president that wants to abolish the Constitution, you abolition the Constitution. And then you start talking about how many votes Kamala Harris got in 2024. Talking about how many votes Kamala Harris got in 2024 is a pivot away from you responding to your hypocrisy regarding you apparently never supporting a president that literally wants to abolish the Constitution. That is definitionally speaking a pivot.
You remember that tactic I said you do in the beginning when we first started? You're doing it right now.
Sorry, using logic?
No, it's cutting people off and muting them and not giving them a chance to talk. You're doing it right now, exactly what I was talking about way in the beginning. So I'd like to finish what I was trying to say before you cut me off, because I know, like I said, I know you like to talk. I know you like to hear yourself talk. Just give me a minute, and you can talk again.
Okay. Well,
No.
I'm going to cut you off if you pivot. So either respond to the claim, or
I'm responding. So I do agree with.
Let's make sure.
Okay, so I do agree with what you said. Now, why Trump said that and why I mentioned we're with those 15 million voters proves a point that the election in 2020 was very questionable. Where were all these votes? I don't know. I read an article earlier today. I don't know the girl's name, but she not.
Okay, goodbye. Moving on. The reason why we kicked him was because he pivoted. What's going on? Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do. So the policy I'd like to have you maybe switch my mind on is probably the Remain in Mexico policy.
Sure, that one's pretty easy.
So, what's the problem with that one? Change
For
my
sure.
mind.
First and foremost, do you know what asylum is?
Yeah, it's when you're seeking safety from like persecution or like enemies or grievous bodily harm and or death.
Spot on. Okay. And you're saying that those asylum seekers should remain in Mexico while their claim is being processed through courts, right?
Okay, so I'm seeing that. Yeah, I guess
Okay.
how that could be an issue. Yeah.
So asylum seekers from Mexico should remain in asylum where they're facing immediately bodily harm or death because of persecution. That's the issue. One of them.
So who would they be seeking asylum from? Their government or like cartels, like gang members? Like I think it would depend, because if it was their government, it'd be like, yeah, well,
I'm not
can't
I'm not an immigration attorney. I'm not an immigration judge. I'm not a legal expert, so I want to know.
So, but if somebody's coming into the country legally, let's say they take the legal thing, they're not seeking asylum, they're not doing that, and the government
Asylum is legal.
What's that?
Sorry for cutting you off. I just want to clarify that asylum is a legal process of entry.
Hey, no worries, man. It is your show. I may be a conservative, but I still really like your Dean's stuff.
I mean, appreciate that. Go ahead.
So if somebody's coming in illegally, if they're coming in legally, not seeking asylum, do you think it would be kind of make sense that they remain in their country until they get a visa and stuff like that? Isn't that more what that policy's for?
That's the current law. I'm pretty sure. I like with exceptions. Like the Remain in Mexico policy only applies to asylum seekers.
Okay, so there's no clause for asylum seekers. When it comes to asylum seekers, they also have to remain in Mexico.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's not that they also have to remain in Mexico. It's that's the only demographic of individuals who the policy applies to. The Remain in Mexico policy is a policy that wants to keep asylum seekers specifically in Mexico while their claim is processing. It doesn't apply to any other form of legal migration into this country.
Okay, so I assumed that the Remain in Mexico policy was for people legally immigrating into the United States, seeking citizenship, not asylum.
Yeah.
And that they were to remain in their own country until a visa was processed. That's what I assumed it was. So I guess it's coming from a place of ignorance then.
It's a very common misconception.
Okay, well, maybe then I guess you've changed my mind. I think it might be a bad idea to keep people in Mexico if they're fleeing danger and grievous bodily harm and or death.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah.
Well done, whatever, dude. Whatever.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about, bro?
No, that's good. I don't want to take up too much time. There's a lot of stuff. There's like 62 on here.
Take up some more time. Seriously, I'm telling you. What else do you agree with Trump on?
You already got me. I don't want to embarrass myself too much. I'll come back on later.
Okay, man. Hey, man, I appreciate you for your time. I hope that you have a good rest of your day. Take care, bro. We're gonna move on to the next guest, everyone. Give us a minute. We got Vince loading up into the box. Here we go. Dude, honestly, we're having a good night. We're having a good night here. We're having a good night here. Um, Hello, what's going on, Tia? Do you support Trump? All right, they're not here, so we're going to move on to the next guest. Well, we are Sid. Thank you so much for the $50 donation on Venmo. Sid says one more because you ate as per usual. Thank you for the love, Sid. That's incredibly kind of you. Can we all please get a couple billion W Sids down below in that comment section for the $50 donation on Venmo? Dude, that is nuts. Thank you. Thank you for the love, Sid. And I mean that. Thank you so much, Sid. As well as Regina with a $5 over on Venmo and Michelle with a $5 as well. Thank you, Regina, Michelle, and Sid. I'd also really like to thank Amber says, thank you for standing up to Maga and being a voice for us. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the love, Amber. Everybody, show some love to Amber down below in that comment section right now. At least 400 Amber W's. And while we are bringing up the next guest, I wanted to readdress something I brought up at the very beginning of the live because I found it important to make sure that the TikTok community is very aware. There's another creator on this platform, goes by the names of Mr. Jones. It came out that Mr. Jones had straight up abused his ex-wife, as well as sexually abused another woman. He's a creator on the platform, and I'd highly implore you, if you do know who that is, to gain a better understanding of these claims. I'm just giving a very brief bullet point overview because I don't want to misinterpret or inaccurately repeat these claims. More so these facts. And if you want more specific detail, please listen to the women. A very easy way that I found to do this is just by looking up Mr. Jones X on the TikTok search bar. Yeah. I said that at the beginning of the live. I'm going to repeat it now. I'll probably repeat it one more time towards the end of the live. I want to make sure that
Hello?
that people that engage with debate talk on TikTok are aware.
Oh, hello?
What's up, JD? What's up, JD?
Oh,
I
shit.
feel like you're making your voice a little bit deeper. How old are you?
No, I'm not. I'm sick right now. I got COVID.
How old are you?
I'm 15.
Goodbye. You gotta be at least 18 to be in that queue, y'all. We're gonna go to get that next guest, Justin, up in the box. Here we go. Somebody's asking, why am I not live on YouTube? It's because I'm just doing a shorter live today. A lot of people are asking if that's Santana. No, not Santana. Hello, Justin. How old are you?
39.
39. Do you support the current administration, Mr. Justin?
Yeah.
Oh, Justin, you're breaking my heart, man. Why is that?
Well, the thing I would like to talk about actually is his support for Russia over not so much Ukraine, but what they've done. I've recently heard some information that I've looked into a little bit, haven't gotten full on knowledge on it, and I thought maybe this is something I could talk to you about because I actually respect you and you're one of the smartest people I've seen on here. So the whole thing is I recently received information that them taking Crimea was actually legit because Crimea, their government kind of abandoned their country, and it was actually a legit thing for them to come in and take over.
No, I think that unconsensual annexation of foreign territory that does not belong to you is wrong in all circumstances. Yeah.
But I thought part of the agreement is that if they are unable to govern their country,
there wasn't an agreement. Listen, I mean, hey, there's probably other creators on this platform that are significantly more educated on Russia and Ukraine than I am. The more specific reason why I say that is because I do know that Trump was able to strike a minerals deal with Zelensky, and I haven't read anything about it yet because I've been occupied with other things.
I haven't checked into that myself either.
And
but
I just want to clarify that Russia took it with militant force. They forcefully took over the region of Crimea, and that's wrong.
But I mean, from what I've seen, it's after their government abandoned the country, so they weren't
What? That wasn't a country; it was a region of Ukraine. How did Ukraine abandon the region of Ukraine?
So no, that's how they took that region, is because there was no government.
That's not true. Crimea was governed by Ukraine. And in fact, like they even had government buildings in Crimea. What?
I don't know. This is information I was like have recently heard, and I like tried to look into it more, and I did see that like government officials had abandoned.
What you probably read is that government officials from Ukraine abandoned the Ukrainian government buildings in Crimea after Russia forcefully took it from them.
That's not the information I saw. Like, it was that they abandoned it first, so like pretty much Russia was justified.
Okay,
in...
give me the evidence for this claim. What?
Okay, see, that's why I was trying to talk to you about it. I mean, I looked into it, and I mean, I don't have the evidence on hand.
Justin, I think that you saw Russian propaganda.
The weird thing, so like where I saw it actually was from a history teacher here on TikTok, and then when I looked into it, like
it was a history teacher repeating Russian propaganda. Justin,
that just doesn't seem like a real thing. I don't know, like why would? I mean, I don't know. It's not political. It was. I mean, I looked at the guy's page, like he actually has. Like,
the reason I say that that's propaganda is because it's false and there's no evidence to support it.
Well, I was hoping like maybe you had more information. And...
Yeah, well, I mean, just simplistically, that's not true.
Oh, but yeah. Well, I guess this conversation won't go too far, but I definitely hate Trump. But thanks for your time.
Oh wait, I thought you said that you supported Trump.
That was just to try to get some information from you.
Okay. In the future, I'd appreciate if you want to do that, Justin. If you want information from me, join my Discord. I'm in there a lot. Hello, Danny. Do you support Trump?
I do.
Okay.
You remember me?
Dander?
You don't remember me.
Have we spoken before?
No, but I just want to give you a shout out. I liked those flexing videos you did before you became a influencer for the left.
Oh, dude, the E-rich lifestyle?
Bro, you were a legend, bro. Honest to God, you were a legend, Bean.
That shit was cringy as fuck.
No, fuck that, dude. You were a legend. You were an absolute legend. Wear it, bro. You're a legend. I'll get off of here.
No, I want you to debate me because the only reason you'd think that was legendary is if like you existed like those same like fucking like circles on the right.
No.
Okay. I think it's fair to say like the videos are fucking funny.
I think it just.
I think that's very fair. Okay.
Can I say something? You would have made it on either side.
But saying that they're legendary is like super fucking crazy.
I think it shows how smart you are. I think you would have made it on either side, honestly. With it, whichever side, independent, left, right. I think if you would have gone full bore like you're going now, you would have had success. I just think you're that dude, bro. I just want to give you a shout out. You're smart. You're calculated.
Danny, anybody could be a grifter on the right.
Can anybody do what you and Harry are doing? I think you're better than Harry, for the record.
What are me and Harry doing?
Grifting on the left, right?
I've actually, okay, I want to talk to you, Danny, because I've seen this claim a lot, accusing me of being a grifter on the left. I'm not a grifter on the left. I think me being a grifter on the left would imply that I don't actually believe in what I say I do. And I feel like that there's been like real world events that have been public that contradict that narrative. Okay, I'll name like the most prominent.
Mm-hmm.
Me getting kicked out of my brother's house and ending my relationship with him since last December because of my liberal views. You know, like if I was a grifter on the left, this would mean when I'm not streaming, I don't actually uphold these views.
And you're cool with your brother.
Why would they terminate a relationship with my brother?
I felt you stand by what you believe in. Like I said, you're smart as heck. You're calculated. Not that you don't know that. I hope you could repair your relationship with your brother.
Okay, well, if I'm standing by what I believe in, that just means I'm not a grifter.
Yeah. That's fair. You just totally rebutted what I said. I think you totally stand by what you believe in. I don't think you're a grifter. My point is, I think you could have made it on both sides. I'm paying homage to your geniusness, and I don't even think you have an undergrad. You're not even like.
Okay, we're just gonna kick him. We're gonna kick him. We're gonna move on to the next guest. You know, it's like when somebody's like, dude, those old videos are fucking like, I can't stop myself from laughing. I get it. You know, they're pretty funny to watch. Um, but calling them legendary is so fucking cringe, bro. Must have wanted a free copy of the E-Rich Lifestyle. Get real. Come on. I'm just kidding. What's going on, Z? Do you support Trump? And they're not here. Drop a MAGA down below in that chat if you do want to come up and debate, y'all. We're just looking for some people to debate with everybody. We're going to go to get that next guest up in here, y'all. Everybody just do be patient while we get that next guest up in the box. All right, everyone. Give us one moment. Give us one moment, quite frankly. We're still looking for that next guest. We're gonna go to get that next guest up in the box right now, y'all. If you're one of the 5.7 thousand people watching and you support Trump, let me know down below in that chat. And I'd appreciate it if y'all could just keep it like actual fucking debates. Not gonna lie, please, bro. What's going on, Ollie? How do you? Okay, Ollie's not here. We're gonna move on to the next guest, everyone. We got Lyndall loading up to the box. Here we go, everyone. Play TikTok. What's going on, Lyndall? Do you support Trump? And he's not here. Great. Everyone, just give us a minute. We got William loading up into that box, y'all. Nobody to debate. What's going on? How old are you?
Answer.
Hey, dude, my name's David. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. How old are you?
I am 39 in Texas.
39, and do you support Trump?
So I wouldn't say that I support Trump, but I'd love to debate you on immigration because it's one of the things where I tend to agree with the right on.
So you support Trump's immigration policy?
In part. So I would say that the main thing that I think of when I think of immigration is that we have a legal process and the people should come here within that legal process. Now, when it comes to asylum, like you were mentioning earlier, absolutely 100% support people who are at risk of death or great bodily harm to be able to come into the country. But where I don't support it and where I don't agree with some of the philosophies of the left is that people who have come here entirely illegally, who have completely circumvented the process, I believe that those people should need to go back to their home countries and they should come back in a legal fashion.
Who's Weebler?
Weebler?
Is that what you guys are saying is Wilbur?
This is my account. My dad doesn't have TikTok.
Oh, okay. It's somebody's dad. Okay, well let's just talk to you. Anyways, Mr. David. So let's see if we could agree on something. Can we agree that we should really only like enforce laws, and make laws and create new ones if they benefit the people, if they increase qualities of life?
I'd say that's a fair statement.
And like typically when there's laws that do the opposite of that decrease like life quality, we get rid of them.
Ideally, that doesn't tend to happen. Laws are very difficult to remove once they're established.
Ideally, that's what we should do. This is my thought on mass deportation. I think it's a law that we have that we should get rid of because it serves to the worst interests of the people and it decreases qualities of life. Okay, the reason I say it decreases qualities of life is because undocumented migrants, as a demographic in this country, are productive providers to the American economy that pay over $100 billion per year in taxes on the federal, state, and local level. They account for millions of laborers in the American labor force, and they're projected to add over $3 trillion to the American GDP in the next 10 years. Okay? So when we, do this mass deportation, we kick them out and we say, they can no longer work. All of a sudden, we're forcefully removing millions of individuals from the American labor force. American industries are now crippled. Okay? We are going to go without the $100 billion per year in government revenues. The government has less money to spend on social safety nets. And we're going to slow GDP growth dramatically by Xing out $3 trillion in the next 10 years. Okay? So that's my big issue. And this doesn't even account for the ethics such as not giving people their constitutional right to due process, deporting 2-year-old citizens, deporting citizens with brain cancer, and being ordered by a court to facilitate the return of some individuals deported, such as migrants from Venezuela or Brigo Garcia, because they were deported without due process, and ignoring it. Love to hear your thoughts on that, David. You're on mute, by the way.
So when it comes to scenarios where mistakes have been made, I absolutely think that those scenarios should be rectified quickly. But when it comes to somebody who's entered the country illegally, they've already committed a crime by breaking the law of the country.
Right.
So by default, they're already a criminal. And that might be unfortunate verbiage. That might be something that needs to be changed. And there's a lot of ways that that's potentially fixed. But at this time, somebody who came here illegally is technically a criminal, and that person is subject to deportation. People who've come here legally and have legal status
I
in the
I
country.
responded to this, David. My argument was they are subject to deportation under current law, but we agreed that we should try to get rid of law that decreases qualities of life in this country, and this is one of the laws that does that.
Yeah, and that's fair. If they were to come up with a process by which people could quickly become either legal citizens or have legal status through work visas or
Now we're
whatever would
talking.
be established, that would absolutely be fair.
Now
But we don't
we're
have
talking. Now we're talking mass amnesty offering undocumented migrants that have not committed violent crimes a pathway to residency or citizenship. Now you're
Yeah.
further left than the Democrat Party.
I think that's absolutely fair. And I'm not a full Trump supporter. This is just one thing that I happen to agree with him on. But I have a question for you, and I mean this.
You don't agree with him on it. No, you don't, David. You
I
just
think
told
that
us
people who
that
are
you
here
think that
illegally-
you just told you first you conceded that mass deportation places America last and hurts qualities of life in this country, and then you agreed that this very far left position of mass amnesty for undocumented migrants is preferable. You are completely adjacent to Donald Trump's views on immigration. You and me have the same views on immigration. You just agreed with me.
But the fact is that that's not how the system is set up right now. And if we're going to live in a fair society, we have to follow the system and follow the rules accordingly or change them.
So now the question should be, because it's not either mass deportation or mass amnesty, it's either mass deportation or they stay here. What's going to be better? I'd argue them staying here, so then we could advocate for Democrats in the midterms as well as in the next presidential election that support a plan of mass amnesty.
Sensible, but here's where the fairness part of it comes in. What do we say to everybody who followed the rules prior? Why do the people who follow the rules, did things the right way, why is there a reward for the people who didn't?
That's a very fair question, okay? Let's talk about fairness. I think that this is unfair to legal migrants. But I think we disagree on who causes this unfairness, because my position is illegal migrants are being slapped in the face. It's not by the undocumented migrants, okay? And here's why. What causes individuals to enter into this country the use of undocumented means compared to legal means?
Generally speaking, and this is an assumption to be fair, I would assume that people need to get here quickly for one reason or another, probably to benefit their families, to help save their families from poverty, all good reasons.
Well, that's what
All fair
causes
reasons
that's
for
what
those
causes
people.
immigration as a whole, just better quality of life. But what gives people that extra push into America with the use of undocumented means?
I wish I knew that answer. I've never thought of that before. I don't know what the correct answer is there. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I got one. It's because the legal means are viewed as unattainable to them. Okay? Nobody wants to be an undocumented migrant. It's not like it's preferable to legal migration. Having an undocumented status where you're under this constant threat of being deported, ripped away from your family and life is definitely not preferable to the opposite. Having the status where you can't get a driver's license, an ID, or even get a loan at a bank to buy a house is not preferable to the opposite. But the reason so many people take that option is because they view the legal means of entry as unattainable because of how expensive and how long they take. Okay, and why are they expensive? Why do they take so long? Why are they backlogged for years? It's because our Congress, our government, has neglected them for essentially all of modern American history. Ask yourself, when has Trump ever done anything about making the legal means of entry into this country faster? Not
He
ever.
hasn't, and that's where the problem
in
is.
fact, you could even then
Improving the
say that
system
about
is
the
the
Democrats.
answer.
What have the Democrats done? The Democrats have taken small steps in the right direction, such as supporting the bipartisan border bill, but it's not even that much. Okay, so when you tell me that this is a huge unfair slap in the face to legal migrants, I'm inclined to agree with you. Okay, but I don't put that blame on the undocumented migrants. I put that blame on Congress and on the American government for the reasons I just listed.
That's absolutely fair because that's how I look at a lot of things. Most of these hot button issues is really a fully federal government issue as a whole because we have two sides that are too busy pandering and they're not actually doing what's right. They're not actually fixing things. They're not doing anything to make things better, but there's very obvious and easy solutions. But I guess that what comes to mind for me when I listen occasionally with my daughter and my wife who love you. It just seems like you constantly rally against the right. You hate Trump. Maybe hate's a strong word. You definitely dislike Trump. But where is the responsibility to all of the left who really aren't fixing anything either? I hate both sides for this reason. There's lots of things we argue about and not a lot of solutions.
Well, I think it's funny that you're making this point now because I just spoke about something that I believe that the left is doing wrong with not supporting mass amnesty or making a legal means of entry into this country significantly faster. So it's just funny that you bring this up after I just got done critiquing the left. I will say that most of my time is spent critiquing the right, and I feel like that's valid to do right now because right now I think that I just want everybody to know that our president is a fascist that has no respect for the Constitution and wants to redistribute wealth from the poor to the rich while isolating us from global forms of commerce and harming our own citizens. You know what I mean? You know, like I want everybody to fucking know who we're dealing with. So when it comes time to start advocating for Democrats in the midterm, you know who to vote for and who to vote against.
I mean, fascist is a bit of a stretch, though. Comparing somebody who killed 6 million people plus everybody else lost in wars is a little bit different than what's happening here. Saying, hey, go home,
I actually don't think it is.
Big difference from let's go put you in a gas chamber.
So I actually don't think that calling Trump a fascist is a stretch at all. I understand, and maybe I could even agree that, like, sure, throughout like American politics, typically speaking, parties have used strong words and language to refer to members of the opposing party. Sometimes those are conflated and they're not true and they are a stretch, but in this circumstance, it's not a stretch. The reason why I have 14 defining characteristics of fascism in the literature and academia, I believe that the Trump administration fits all 14. Do you want to talk about that? I could go over them.
Yeah, I think I came here talking about immigration, so I think we should stick there to be fair. When it comes down to it, it seems like you and I have a very similar view on how to approach the amnesty aspect, how to give people the ability to be here legally, etc. What is the way you would accomplish that?
Through mass amnesty. I'm not going to act like I know. I'm sorry. I could speculate. I could come up with something that sounds reasonable, something that sounds sensible, something that sounds good on the spot. I could probably do that. I'm not. The reason why I say I'm not going to do that is I'd be over conflating my qualifications. I'm not qualified enough to give you that plan. I think I'm qualified enough to say what I want in the end, but I'm not qualified enough to be very, specific about how I believe we'd get there.
That's fair. I respect you for that.
Yeah. But seriously, man, I'd heavily implore you to go on Google, type in tenets of fascism, read through the 14 defining characteristics of fascism and say, well, does Trump fit this qualifier? And the more you know about Trump, the more he fits every single one of them.
I'm going to look at him right now. I appreciate the chat, man.
Of course, man. You have a good rest of your day, David.
You too.
All right, we're going to move on to the next guest, everyone. Do give us a minute. We've actually gotten a mix of some more sensible, reasonable guests today. I could really appreciate that. Heather, thank you for the $3 over on Venmo saying making my day gooder. Thank you so much for the love, Heather. That's kind. If you're watching and you'd like to support me, you could find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in my bio. I do appreciate you guys.
Do not send this pedophile a dime.
Why are you calling
Dean
me that?
is a pedophile.
Why are you calling me that?
Dean is a pedophile who's paid by the DNC to propagate bullshit.
Man, that's a pretty serious
You're a liar and you're a tool bag. The sky is not falling. We are fine.
Should I sue
child and you're a pedophile. Please bring it. I would absolutely love to drag your punk ass to court.
Why do you call me a P3DO?
Because you are.
Okay.
And there's mounting evidence to that fact, and I cannot wait for it to come out. You're a pathetic tool bag. You're nothing more than a useful idiot.
Can you share the evidence?
DNC. You are a pathetic lying tool bag.
Can you share?
You're also a paid troll. We've got evidence to support that. You are a paid DNC operative, and it's all coming out. Goodbye, pedophile.
Can you share the evidence with the 6,000 people watching so they know who they're? Okay. All right. Well, that guy was deranged. We're gonna go to move on to the next guest. Everyone, just give us a minute. We're gonna go to get user up in the box. Everyone, just give us a minute. Jesus fucking Christ. Some people are so fucking pathetic. I mean, unreal. What's going on, user? Do you support Trump? Nope. Goodbye, user. Okay. All right. We're going to move on to the next guest, Jordan. Everyone just give us a minute, y'all. And it's funny because like when he joined then, I was like, there's been so many reasonable people tonight. You know what? I take that claim back. What's going on, Jordan?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. How old are you?
I am 28.
Okay, sweet. Do you support the Trump administration?
I don't, but I would like to ask you a question, if that's okay.
Wait, well, yeah, for sure. I'm just reading off somebody in my Discord. It says the evidence is that my girlfriend is a year younger than me. Not even kidding. Maga said that. Oh, you know who that was? Do you guys remember what's to come up here frequently? I think that was him. What's his name? It's like Griffin or Gambit. His name's Gambit. I think that was Gambit. Yes, that was Gambit. Yeah. Okay. Let me tell you about that guy real quick, chat. Let me tell you about Gambit because that was Gambit. So my girlfriend is 6 to 8 months younger than I am. Let me do the math because that was lazy of me. 5. 4 months and a week. My girlfriend is 4 months and a week younger than I am. And the first time Gambit came up, he was like, well, there was a point where you were 18 and she was 17. So that meant there was a point where you were an adult sleeping with a minor. And that's the evidence. Anyways, Jordan, wait, I'm so sorry. I got really preoccupied. Hey, Jordan, I do apologize. We are just looking to debate individuals that do support Trump, but I do really appreciate it.
Can I say something just really quick? I have been following you for a long time. I'm a really big supporter. I live in the same county that you do.
No way. Really? That's awesome. I was about to say the name of the county because I'm public about it, but I don't want to dox you.
Does Mesa Mall sound familiar?
Yeah, wow, you are in the area.
So there hasn't been enough activism in the area with the amount of ICE agents that have been coming in and out of our county right now. And I would love to see you more involved in that.
So it's actually funny that you say this, and I'm going to share these DMs with you. So I don't know, do you show up to the protests in town? Like we had the hands-off protests, we had the May Day protests, etc.
I really try to. I live an hour away from where we're talking about, so it's hard for me to get there, but I don't see you talking about it a whole lot, and I'd love to see more of that.
If you go to my Instagram, you could actually find it's a 3-minute clip of me speaking at the hands-off protest in the middle of last month. But I'll share this DM with you and everybody else. So I got this DM on Discord, funny enough, a couple days ago. It says, "Hi, Dean. I was one of the organizers of the hands-off protest that you spoke about in Grand Junction. I was wondering if you'd be interested in joining us for any other events. We have some planned, June 6th for veterans, June 14th to protest the rumored military parade, and we're also gearing up for the local Indivisible chapter and would love to talk to you about a debate or other speaking engagements." And then I say, "Hi, I'd love to be more involved locally. Please let me know what the opportunities are." I'm linked in with the organizer of all of the local events in the county. So you definitely will be seeing a whole lot more of me locally speaking.
Good. I'm glad. I love what you're doing. I just wanted to make sure that you're doing public things as well.
Hell yeah. Well, I guess I hope you have a good rest of your day, Jordan.
Same to you. Good night, Dean.
Night. No, I actually agree with that, man. So when I went to the hands-off protest in my town, I got there and I then went to the organizers. I was like, hey, my name's Dean Withers. I would love to have an opportunity to hop on that mic. And they're like, oh my God, Dean Withers? I know you. And then they gave me the mic, and I gave a speech, just impromptu. And I loved it so much. Just felt very real. And ever since then, I've been wanting to get more and more locally involved. See, my biggest issue is not knowing when and where the local engagements are, because I'm just simply really connected with an online community, not an offline community.
Hello.
And because I need to touch more grass. But now I'm in with, like the organizer of all of these things. So that's awesome. What's up, man? How old are you?
I am 24.
What year are you born in?
2001.
I don't know if I believe you. What's something that only an adult would know?
Not a clue.
Do you drive?
Not so much.
Profile pictures of a car?
I like cars.
If you like cars, but you don't drive cars, makes me think that maybe you're not of age.
I gave you everything
What's a mortgage?
I don't own a house.
Chat, make the decision for me. Make the decision for me. This is a child? Sorry, mob rule. Mob rule, kid. We're gonna get Glim up on the live. Here we go. Everybody just give us a minute. Hey, what's going on? Do you support Trump?
You talking to me?
Yeah!
Sorry, no, I just saw your caption. Prove me wrong. Trump is terrible for America. I'm an Australian, so I see it from an outside perspective.
Okay.
And I think you're wrong because 70-something million people voted for Trump in America, which means Trump is right for Trump is right for some Americans, and maybe America needs to be divided and become the divided states of America. But that's my take on it. That's all I had to say,
That's
really.
what the Confederates said, too.
Yeah, I don't support him, though. All the best love to you and what you do.
Okay, all right. I guess have a good one. Anyway, I'll explain this. Just because you vote for somebody doesn't imply that you know what you're voting for. And that's actually why I do these lives, because I think that a lot of people who support and vote for Trump don't really know what they're voting for. That's why I do these lives. What's going on? Do you support Trump?
No. I just wanted to ask you.
Based! Sorry. I'm sorry for kicking you really fast. I want a debate. Where's the debate? Where's the debate? We're going to go to get Ozzy up on the live. Here we go. What's going on, Ozzy? Do you support Trump?
Hey, man. I'm gonna say this. Originally I did, but actually stumbled upon you through Charlie Kirk on the abortion debate, and I wanted to say, like, ever
since he said, I remember he acknowledged you. He said you made one of the best points, and I'm like, okay, who is this guy? And
I see you from time and time again on this TikTok live, and I found myself I just kept watching you over and over again. I'm like, damn, okay, maybe this guy's onto something. That's all I wanted to say, man, because I know you're looking for debates.
Do you still support Trump?
Once I saw the Springfield stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like blatantly wrong. And I'm like, geez, there's probably more.
Ozzy, you're fucking phenomenal. That's crazy. I finally met somebody who watched my engagement with Charlie Kirk and was like, and then used it as a reason to stop supporting the right. You're fucking phenomenal, Ozzy, and I hope that you have a stupendous rest of your day. Humanly possible. That's right, Ozzy. Hello, Scott. Are you driving?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Can't be driving on TikTok Live. By the way, we're probably going to end soon. Not gonna lie, we'll probably do like another guest or two. I know, I'm sorry. I've been kind of missing some days and not streaming for as long. We'll talk about that before I get off. We will talk about that. We're gonna get the next guest, Barbara, up in this stream, y'all. So everyone, just give Barbara a moment to join. Hey, Barbara. Barbara's sleeping. Bye, Barbara. Moving on because Barbara was asleep. Let's see who's next. Everyone. Who is it? Who's next? We got Corey loading up in. Barbara was sleepy. Goodbye, Barbara. I wish I could have talked to Barb. It would have been really nice to talk to Barb. There's been something weighing on me for the last couple days, and I've really wanted to talk about it on live, but I'm so scared to.
And I think that there's good reasons why I shouldn't, good reasons why I should. And I actually want to explain them to you guys.
That GoFundMe for the lady that called the child the hard R and has now raised over $600,000.
Fucking sick. Fucking sick.
And the reason